ratios and rates. And for a lot of you in your grade 10 math class next year, you are going to do lots of ratio work. Mr. Shirk can say for sure, lots of ratio work in grade 10.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? So in mathematics, and if you want to highlight something here, a ratio is a comparison of numbers that shows how many times one number contains another. For example, if there are 8 oranges and 6 lemons in a fruit bowl, the ratio of oranges to lemons is 8 to 6. And we can write a ratio like this. This means 8 to 6. And that is just like a fraction equivalent to 4 to 3. For every 4 oranges, there's 3 lemons. If you doubled it, that would mean 8 oranges would have 6 lemons. If that ratio continued, 12 oranges would have 9 lemons if you had to keep the bowl. If your job was, you're working at, I don't know, a little cafe, and the cafe sells a bowl of fruit, but they want you to always have some oranges and, oh, I don't know, who would buy a lemon? Be like, oh, I'm hungry. Can I get a lemon, please? Right? Maybe oranges and bananas would be better for that situation. But if you're working there, you don't want to fill it up with just oranges and have 1 banana. You kind of want it equally balanced. And so you might have some sort of ratio. Usually it'd be like 50-50. Fill half of it with bananas, half of it with oranges. Okay? And anytime we have a ratio, and what we're going to do underneath these is you can write them as a fraction. So the ratio of 3 to 4 would be a fraction of 3/4. An equation that involves a ratio is called a proportion. So in our first example here, we're going to fill in some numbers.
So can you go back one slide?
I can go back one slide. Put in that word proportion. Are we good? Okay. So in these proportions, a ratio of 1 to 5. Okay, we can think this means for every 1 orange, you have 5 lemons. Now, if you had 3 oranges, how many lemons would there be if that ratio
15.
stayed the same? There would be 15. Because you're multiplying both by 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I had 1 red dot and 5 blue dots, that's the ratio. 1 red dot for every 5 blue dots. Every time you have 1 red, you have 5 blue. If I had 3 reds, I'd have 5 blue again and again. Does it make sense that how many blues would I have? I would have 15 in total.
Yes.
This ratio says for every 1 red, I have 5 blue. Then if I had 3 red, I would have 15. If 3 red means you would have 5 blue. And over here it told me I have 10 blue. How many reds have to be there to make it that ratio the same?
6.
There has to be, well, for this one, 3. For this one, 3. There's going to have to be 6.
That's a good visual.
That's what the ratios are meaning. 3 of this one is to 5. So then 6 of that one is to 10. Okay? And we have ratios This one right now for ratios, see if this is about right. I think this is very close to what euros are right now. 6 euros is 10 Canadian dollars. So you're like shopping, you go to Spain on the weekend to do some shopping, right? That's very typical. It's like, oh, where should I go shopping this weekend? Maybe I'll go to Spain. And he wants to buy a chocolate bar and it costs 3 euros. He's like, well, how much is that in Canadian? Right? That's 5 Canadian dollars. So sometimes when you travel to another country and the currencies change, you have to, like, I am always doing this to be like, is this actually a good deal? Because if it was 3 Canadian dollars, I'd be like, ooh, that looks like I could. But I'm like, when it's 5 Canadian dollars, then I'm like, ooh, that's actually kind of expensive.
Yeah, and
Right.
that's happening more and more because our dollar is not worth.
Our dollar is not, so when we travel, we pay more and more and more. That, what is the US right now? Does anybody know about?
They're a lot more than us worth. It's not close.
It's
really
70.
anymore.
75 cents American, a dollar Canadian? Or is it even worse? Is it
It
70?
might be worse.
I think it might be worse. We could look it up, but those are things that you solve with ratios. So here's your question. If this tells us that 8 blues is the same as 32 greens, and over here you only have 8 greens, how many blues would you have?
Two.
16.
You're going to have, well, look, you always have less blues than the green, right?
Yes, two.
So if I have 32 greens, it's equal to 8. Now I have 8 greens. Someone says 2. Notice
Me.
this. How would you go from 32 to 8? You'd have to divide by
4.
4. If I do the same thing on my blues, divide by 4, I get 2. As the visual, watch this. I'm going to make 8 in blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'm going to make 32 in green. Thirty-two is a little annoying. Alright, well, I got a little excited. Oh my goodness. I made 32 green dots, 8 blue dots. Okay. Can you see though if I separate these this way into 4 sections, now I have in this section 8 green dots, 2 blue dots. That's like divided in 4. Sometimes what's really helpful in ratios is to reduce it down to the smallest you can. From 8 to 32, okay, can you see that that reduces down to 1 to 4? If 8 things makes 32, I divide them both by 8, 1 thing makes 4. And I find if I go down to this ratio down to 1, which is kind of like fractions in lowest terms,
It's a quarter.
right? This is 8 over 32. I could reduce those both by dividing by 8. You get 1 over 4. And once I get the 1 to 4 ratio, can you see how much easier that is to go to 8? If 1 is to 4, then 2 is to 8.
Yeah.
Yes.
Una pregunta, como son 4 dividido, por eso usted puso en cada punto 4 líneas.
Puedo hacer una línea más aquí si quieres.
Sí, pero eso, 4 líneas de
4 líneas. But by drawing the 3 lines, I separated it into 4 sections. He just wanted one extra line there to see dividing by 4 made more sense that way.
Oh,
It's not the lines though, it's the actual 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. The 3 lines made 4 equal things, so that makes us divide by 4. Okay, if you have a fraction 12/8, and you want it to be equal to a fraction of something over 24, how? This is like adding and subtracting fractions. If you want to change the denominator to 24, what would you have to do to the 8? You would have had to multiply by, I'm saying 3. And if I multiply the bottom by 3 to get 24, I'd have to multiply the top by 3. 12 times table, what's 3 times 12? 36.
as Igor looks away as he answers, 36. Look, guys, no look. That's like a no look pass. No look math.
Yeah.
Mhm.
¿Cuál es el
Yeah, he is
proceso?
horrified. 36.
The process
Because
to
I'm called.
change 8 to 24,
48.
we have to multiply by 3. 3 times 8, 24, so I do 3 times 12, and then that tells me it would be 36. That's what-
36. I love that. That's horrible. That's horrible.
Okay, I want you to try. Well, some of these, I'll leave the fraction one. We're gonna do the with the decimal in there together. But I want you to see with a calculator. Can come grab one if you need.
Probably. Like, no. You guys. Yeah.
See if we can figure out these harder ones.
D1, D. You might 7. You might 7.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
¿Y cómo vamos a ver el número que hay que multiplicar con el número?
So the question is, how do we know what number we multiply to go from here to here, right? You're gonna multiply by something. How would you find out what that something is?
Divided.
You divide them. Check out this. 175 divided by 7
It's 20.
is what number?
25.
175 divided by 7. Perfectly 25.
25.
That's what you're multiplying by.
Y
¿Entiendes?
así lo multiplico.
And so what happens here if I multiply this one by 25? What do I get? 125.
Oh, I'm doing that right.
Yeah.
Okay. So does it make sense? If I go from the smaller number to a bigger number, I'm going to multiply. If I go from a bigger number to a smaller number, I'm going to divide. Here, I want to go back, right? Because that's what I want to do. I want to find out what's in that space. I'm going from the bigger number to the smaller number. I'm going to need to divide by something. What do I divide by?
No,
Five,
it's
seven,
5.5.
5.5? How do I figure out exactly what I'm dividing by?
No, it's not.
Right?
Wait.
Whatever you divide by to go back is the same as what you're
Oh, yeah.
multiplying to go forward. If I take 11.5 and I divide it by 2, I'm going to get 5.75.
Yeah, I was close.
Okay, right? 11.5 divided by 2, I get 5.75. So 2 times 5.75? Check it out. Sometimes this, I'm going to pull up my calculator. I'm going to show you.
I knew that you weren't exactly right because you didn't look away.
All right.
You're right, yeah. Next time we'll do it.
I'll open up my calculator. I want to show you something. Because you can use your calculator to check. So right now, our our thought is we're dividing by 5.75, because we did this check. But I wanna check and see if I'm actually right, so I'm gonna go to my calculator and close this. And I'm gonna go 11.5 divided by 5.75. If I have the right number, my calculator should tell me what answer. If I push enter here, if I have it right, it should tell me what?
12 y algo.
I think it's kind of low.
Oh, I don't have my divide sign. I multiply. If I have it right, divide. It should tell me 2. Yes!
Easy, Bernard.
I know that I'm right, so now I go back here and say,
It's like we're
I need to also do this here, divide by 5.75. So I go to my calculator again. 46 divided by 5.75. And it's telling me 8. So I'm gonna go back and check.
and that's what we did on
Is
this
it
map.
8?
We ate.
Yep.
Wait. What's the look?
Nice.
That's a confidence right there. It's time to eat.
What do you?
Okay. 16 to 1 to something. A triple ratio.
You kept on telling me.
So I had to think about this for a second.
Okay. Check this out. This is 1 ratio,
No.
which is gonna match up with that ratio,
Yep.
Oh.
2.16.
Yeah,
right?
I looked at it a little different.
Yeah, well, let's see what you,
That's so funny.
okay.
What do you mean?
16 to 1, that's the first part of the ratio, has to be the same as this, okay? So what's happening? How do I go from 1 to here? Because it's going to be the same thing when I go from 16.
Divide by 2.
I guess that's the problem there. My arrow. Do a different color. 16 to this has to be the same as going from 1 to 0.125. I'm going from a big number to a smaller number. Does it make sense I'm gonna have to divide? What do I need to divide by? Well, I can look from 1 to 1.25.
It's like a G.
I can type this in my calculator. 1 to 1.0.25. What is that gonna be?
Eight.
Trusty code.
Yep.
It's 8. So I'm thinking I'm dividing by 8. I want to double check with my calculator. So I say, well, what is 1 divided by 8? Does it give me 0.125? It does. So I know that I am dividing by 8. So on the purple, I also need to divide by 8. What's that number going to be?
Oh, 2.
2. We got that number.
Yeah.
Next, pick out my orange pen. This ratio here has to match up with this part of the ratio there.
Oh. Give me some.
Can you see that my 1? Is we already figured that part out as dividing by 8. But now, I want to go from the 3 this way.
Oh,
This side is bigger, right? So if I'm going this way and I want to get bigger, should I divide by 8 or multiply by 8? Getting bigger, you would want to multiply. Multiply by 8, this should be 3 times 8.
It's 0.375.
Wonderful, people.
24.
Oh.
Did it wrong again?
Nope. Almost. Like, I was quiet.
Yeah, it's so funny. I looked at all 3 at once.
Okay.
And then I was like, what is happening? But then I realized that the 16 matched with the blank. So I looked at it as 3 and 3. 16 goes with where the 2 is. The 1 went with the 1.25. Or
Ooh.
0.125. And the 24 went with the 3.
Okay.
But you broke them up into 2 and then 1.
Yeah.
Like that.
So you just saw the 1 and the 1.25 and said that's one thing. That has to be, is that like you basically said the 1 to 0.125 has to be the same as the 16 to the blank, which has to be the same as the 3 to the blank. Is that what you did?
Yeah, all at once, yeah. Like instead of the orange around the 1 and
Yeah, yeah.
24, I just went orange around 16, 1 and 24.
Okay.
And then all, as opposed to like.
And then you saw this green part first and then did your arrows. Yeah.
All the same thing, they
Yeah.
came out.
Ooh, decimals.
Will that stop us?
No. How do we go from this one to this one? Decimals just means you have to use a calculator. But sometimes with all of you, you're like, yeah, even not decimals, I'm gonna use my calculator, right? So it doesn't change anything, the fact that it's decimals. You see that you're going from a small number to a big number. You're gonna be multiplying by something. What are we multiplying by?
3.2.
3.2, is that what happens when you do 16.64 divided by 5.2?
He looked away, it's gotta be right.
Oh, it's, yeah, 3.2. This is 3.2, so we're multiplying by 3.2. Wow, that's ugly looking too right now. I'm not happy with that at all. We're multiplying by 3.2. So now, what happens if I want to go backwards from this one to this one?
Alright. You need to
Will I multiply?
divide.
This one I'm gonna have to divide.
Yeah.
Divide by 3.2. And same thing here. In super bright. Divide by 3.2 again. Did you get 4.6 and 9?
Yeah.
Woo!
Easy.
Okay, try the next two on your own with a calculator. I'll put up the answers in a second.
I can't believe I've never seen it. That's quite a few seasons and you never went to a jet ski. I'm happy that you're going. My arms are insane. Can they still make? They're saying that they can still make. They can still make playoffs.
Yeah, they still can. Not looking great, but they still can.
It's wild that they still can after this season.
All right, did you check this out?
Yeah.
I was so
Did you get
easy.
2 over 3?
2.
10 over 15. And the last one. You're getting bigger. 5 over 11. What would you have to go from this one to this one? You're going to multiply by 2.5. So going from this one to this one,
Jay Bizzle.
I multiply by 2.5.
Cute.
27.5. What about from this one to this one?
It's not big, but.
What are we multiplying by? Multiplying by 8.75. So from this one to this one, I would also have to multiply by 8.75. Gives me 43.75. Okay. So, lots of questions here. We're gonna take multiple days to do this, but I would like you to turn 1, 2, 3. Turn 4 pages into where it says proportion. Okay? Because that's what we're doing right now. You can start there if you want. Do question 1 first, then question 8, and then do the word problems in between.
I said we're gonna do that, so.
We should do some. I mean,